So what's up, everybody? This is Ruben Garcia, and this is a beautiful day. And today on the Proven by Ruben podcast, I'm with the Fayetteville Pie Company. Hey, what's up? How are you?
Hey, Ruben. Thanks for having us on the
brother?
show. I'm Leslie Pearson. I'm the owner and general manager of Fayetteville Pie Company. I'm with my husband, Justin.
Hello.
And we're going
Awesome,
to be
yeah.
talking about our business today.
Yep. So I was going to roll right into it, and I was going to say, if you could tell everyone who you are, what you do, and how you do it. So you guys kind of already jumped on that and said who you are and what you do.
Yeah.
So if you could, tell everyone where this whole thing started. How did it start? Did it start in a garage? Talk to us about this.
No, it started kind of as an afterthought to our first business, which is Vizcaya Villa, a wedding and event space. It was the former Fayetteville Museum of Art. We purchased that in, I believe, 2005. We opened. 2011 we opened. And after a while, we started thinking, well, we should go to an all-inclusive package to our brides. It would include the food. And so we started looking around for a location for a catering kitchen. And we found the place, our old place on Rowan, and opened that, and the pie shop just kind of took off on its own. We were thinking we'll just do some little lunch spot, and our pies were so unique and so delicious that it just kind of skyrocketed. Before you knew it, we needed to move into a bigger space because we had outgrown that location.
Right.
So in October of this year, we moved to Westwood Shopping Center. We're located at 253 Westwood Shopping Center, which offers double the space. We have an upstairs, we have a downstairs, and we even have a patio outside. So we can seat about 80 people now comfortably inside and about 36 people outside. We've also expanded our hours. We're now open Monday through Saturday, 11 to 3 for lunch.
Wow. So this almost came as just an added piece of value for your other business.
Correct.
And then you just started crushing it here.
Yeah.
So are you guys still running the other business? The venue?
Yeah. We're still doing the venue, and that's going very successfully as well. But because we have so much extra space, we're still able to do both in our new location, which is fabulous. Our kitchen was the size of a closet in the old space.
This closet.
And it's triple the size. So I've been able to also expand my staff and
That's right.
Give everybody room to work in their specialty. We always have 3 savory pies and 3 sweet pies on the menu, which is kind of a limited menu, but because we change up the menu all the time, there's almost every other day, there's a change of some sort. It keeps people coming back. And I grew up in the country in Missouri. So my grandma our house was right in the middle of my grandma's house, my cousin's house, and we were just in and out of her house all the time. So she was always making one dish wonders, as I like to call them. There was always something, some type of a pie, a cobbler. We had a big field that we would go berry picking in, and she had a huge garden. She would do all of her own pickling and canning and everything. All of our leftovers would go into some sort of a savory pie. So when we started thinking about what type of lunch, we wanted to do, it made sense to think about pies because we could batch huge quantities of food and still use locally sourced ingredients and serve things really fast because we have an oven that is basically like from space. It will cook a pie. What would take you at home an hour, it takes us 20 minutes in our kitchen. So we're firing pies around the clock so everybody gets something that's really, really quick. There's barely ever any wait time and really fresh.
Wow. So my mind went, back in the country.
Yeah.
My mind went straight to, I just want to visualize this whole thing, right? And I saw your grandmother with the kitchen window open with the ledge, the small ledge, right, where she would lay pies. Is that
Well, she didn't do it on a ledge outside, but there was definitely counter space where there was always a pie or cobbler. Absolutely. And then she had the whole pantry that was sort of a porch, but it was an entire pantry where she would keep all of her canned goods. And she was just such a wonderful grandma. I mean, she was constantly baking and cooking, and we could just run in her house at any second and she would say, "Are you hungry? What can I fix you?" And she'd already have so many things made. So a lot of what I learned about cooking had to do with cooking large quantities of food that could be eaten quickly by a lot of people. So that was an advantage for me when we started thinking about the pie company. And the sizes that we do, it's a 6-inch deep dish savory pie and a 4.5-inch sweet pie. So it's enough, it's small enough that one person can get both, which is about 95% of our customers do that. And it's kind of interesting because you don't think about having dessert for lunch. You think about having it for dinner.
Right.
But 95% of our customers will have dessert with their lunch.
Now I need to start doing that and start having pie for my lunch. I love that.
You'll work it off. But I mean that truly is a unique thing about our business is we took something that people don't typically get,
right?
And it is that extra element of your lunch.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
So would it be fair to say that you're using some of the recipes that your grandmother's passed down?
We have taken some of the ideas. She did a lot of traditional pies. your chicken pot pie, turkey pot pie, ham and potato pot pie. So I work with my chef, Chef MK Lee, and she has been with me since the beginning, and she's such a talented chef. So I will throw out a challenge at her and say, I want something like, something from what you have experienced. She's a Korean American.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, she's amazing. And
she's a Kiwana.
She's so talented.
I believe so.
Yeah.
She's a what?
Kiwanis? She's in the Kiwanis. I believe so. If it's
I don't know.
I don't know.
So anyway.
Her background's in chocolatiering, but
Let's go back. Yeah.
She's phenomenal. I mean, and she's been such a hard worker. But the point is, like, I couldn't have done this without her, and including all my staff. I mean, my staff are amazing. They're the cornerstone of what we do. And, but I can throw a challenge out. I used to be more into the kitchen when we first opened, but I've slowly, as a business owner, realized I needed to work myself out of the kitchen so I could have a better understanding of the business and understand about marketing and running the business and growing the business. And also to keep my eye on the numbers a little bit and things like that. So, but over just the course of, we opened in, it was 2015. And in November.
Yeah.
And so we had a soft opening in November of 2015, then a very quick shut the hell down, and getting stock of everything and thinking like, okay, if we're going to, do this, we need to make a few changes.
Right.
And, just learn from a few mistakes that we had then. And then we had another grand opening in January of 2016. And it's just been amazing to see how it's grown since then. But she has developed about 50 savory pie recipes and about 75 sweet pie recipes over the course of just this short time. So some of them are traditional pot pies, like your, chicken pot pie, which is what most people think of. But at Thanksgiving, we like to celebrate everything. So in Thanksgiving, we'll do a gobbler cobbler, which is a Thanksgiving Day feast in a pie crust. Our motto is put it in a pie, so nothing is off limits. I mean, we have, dishes of all kinds of international flair. I mean, like I said, she's a Korean American, so she created a Korean fire chicken. Yeah. We have Indian massaman chicken curry. We have Thai dishes. We have a few glutenless options like chili con carne with a glutenless cornbread top crust. Yeah. And then the sky's the limit on the sweet pies that we have. We have pretty much every traditional pie, but sometimes we'll take and put a little twist on it of some sort. Like, for example, everybody's favorite summer pie is strawberry rhubarb, but we turned it into a pie tart. So we took the concept of a strawberry Pop-Tart and made a strawberry rhubarb pie tart. With the royal icing on top. Yeah. And so we use any reason to celebrate too.
600 pounds walking.
Well, well, the girls in the back definitely. The girls in the back do a lot of running around. They're on their feet quite a bit. And I work out a little bit each morning.
Yeah.
Can I
it's
say?
important to work out.
But I do have to do a lot of taste testing, which is really painful.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it is. So you said 2015 you opened up and then you closed back down.
Yeah.
What was some of the main reasons, if you could walk through that, or why that happened?
Honestly, we just, we didn't have a lot of things in order. We didn't have packaging needs in order. We didn't have a true concept on, again, I don't have any restaurant experience. I'm an artist by trade. That's what I do. And I was teaching at Methodist University at the time. We just didn't have a real concept of what it would mean to open a restaurant.
Right.
And even as far as just like not quite having enough recipes to go on, and realizing quickly that people would want faster changes, and getting more recipes accurate and cost calculations and stuff like that. So we closed back down for the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then when we opened back up, we knew what to focus on. And so immediately when we came back, I started working on finding better packaging, finding lower cost packaging. For example, people don't think about things when they go into a restaurant, like the fork and the knife that you use. You know, we didn't even know, like, how strong is this? This one's a little bit cheaper, but it would break when people started digging into our pies. It would snap because we went for a cheaper one. So I had to investigate a sturdier plasticware, but something that was also kind of cute. For instance, we were hand rolling all of our napkins so we're in a cute napkin with a little string and everything. And then as we got busier and busier, I quickly realized like I'm hiring someone to basically work full time just to roll those things. Right. So I found a company that produced a cute denim gingham napkin, a black and white gingham napkin, which totally went with our, you know, sort of industrial, shabby chic look. Right. And it was a strong one, but I realized I could get a cheaper quantity, or a cheaper price if I ordered a large quantity. Right. So we had to, you know, take a look at our numbers and say, do we really feel like we're going to be successful enough to invest this much in packaging, and how will we store it, and, you know, things like that. So the space that we were in initially was pretty limiting as far as how many pies we could make all at once and have them ready to be fired. Right. We were jumping through all sorts of hoops and hurdles and so forth, but we knew that we could feel confident about moving to our new space. Yeah. Because the numbers were showing, and the people were demanding that we, you know, put out the pies, and they absolutely the community really embraced us. I mean, I think it was just something that they love, the fact that Justin and I are both veterans. So it's a veteran owned business. It's a local business. It's not a chain. It's something completely unique. Yep. We don't do things by the slice. We do, you know, a whole pie. But we were limited on how we could grow in the old space. So moving to the new space allowed us to do all sorts of things. Like, for example, you know, quite a bit of our business, because we had such limited seating, quite a bit of our business was to-go business. You know, people would pick it up to go. Gotcha. And the phone would be ringing off the hook so fast that I could never get off the phone to just, you know, people would be trying to call in to place an order to go while I was taking one. So I just started thinking, you know, what can we do? We went to a U.S. Foods food show, and they told us about this really great app called Chow Now, which we invested in. And now we have an app that people can just place their order right from their phone. You can actually text the word Fayetteville to 3577 and, you know, download the app and, you know, place your order, so that we never miss an order. People can place their order all through the night, even, and then we know. That's awesome. Yeah. So, you know, it's interesting. A lot of people, before they start a business, they'll, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you hear this as well, where they say, you know, I just want to make sure I get everything perfect before I launch. I just want to make sure I have everything just as it needs to be in my business, because I want to make sure it's just perfect. And it's interesting that you didn't do that, which is great. You just took action, but it puts you in a place where how could you ever realize that I might get soft forks, right? Right. Like the only way that you really learn this stuff is by taking action. Right. And it's interesting to hear where I said, you'll hear some people, they just want to get it perfect before and they really fall into a place of getting ready to get ready, to get ready. Yeah. To get ready. Yeah. To get ready. And in hindsight, I wish that we had done a little bit more preparation. It would have made things go a little bit smoother. Yeah. A few less, maybe possibly disgruntled customers. Right. You know, there were just a lot of unnecessary headaches. When I do talk to people who own businesses or are thinking about getting into the restaurant business, I tell them all these things, you know, to like research packaging and, you know, because like, if you have like in our case, it's kind of special because we have a particular size, two things. We need two types of packaging. But, you know, it's like they're very expensive until you order a lot of them, but then where
Right.
do you store it? And just like a lot of things like that. I mean, I remember one young couple came in and wanted to have a meeting with me because they had dreamed of opening a pie shop. And he was retiring from or getting out of the military, and they just came in and we made it look so seamless and so easy and effortless that she thought, oh, it just seems like so low key, and behind the scenes we're running around, scampering around. I told her all, a lot of these types of things, and they were just like, whoa.
Yeah.
They still have not even, their initial response was like, well, maybe we'll think just about a food truck. Because owning a brick and mortar shop, there's a lot to think about,
yeah, no doubt.
And so.
So I wonder where they're at with all this.
They're in Oregon.
Oh, yeah?
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's doing some exercise, something, and
okay.
hopefully they won't hear this.
Yeah. If just to bring some context to some of the people who may be listening, how many pies are you guys pushing out a month?
It really depends on what's happening. Our numbers are definitely reflected, especially in Fayetteville, on payday. The 1st and the 15th, we always know we're going to be busier.
Yeah.
And also around any themed things. That's why we try to celebrate any occasion. We had Beatles Day, for instance. Now, if we see that it's going to be National Beatles Day, we're going to go all out with a special pie, tie-dyed t-shirts, Beatles music playing all day. It gives me a chance to create an event on Facebook, and I can promote it on social media, and it's something special. Also, people are so kind of used to that now that they know.
What does the Beatles pie taste like?
Well, the Beatles pie was a very interesting, we have a line called Pakes, which are cakes in a pie.
Oh,
Pakes.
Golly. Okay.
Yeah, so this particular Pake was marbleized, like tie-dyed looking interior, vanilla cake base, but they did multiple different batters and poured those all together so they could be swirled but keep their colors. It was very beautiful.
Yeah.
And then they did a special hand piped icing that was also multiple icing colors, and then edible pixie dust sprinkled on top of that. And then, like I said, MK's background is in chocolatiering, so she did a custom peace sign also in rainbow color. And so
it's not so much about the taste, it's about the presentation.
It's a lot. It's both. Our pies first and foremost have to taste good.
No doubt.
But people eat with their eyes. So it has to be beautiful. And because they know on these special days, we have a certain amount that we can make, and then we usually don't have them the next day. Now, sometimes if the outcry is like, oh my God, I didn't get one of those pies, sometimes I'll say to the girls, like, go ahead and make a few more so we can have them the next day or something like that. But, we always celebrate every holiday. We even do Christmas or Thanksgiving in June, which we bring back all of our traditional Thanksgiving pies, and Christmas in July, which is coming up. So we're going to have Christmas in July. People can watch out on our social media pages for a blast about that.
Awesome. It's interesting because, the first day of school for anybody, they want to wear their best gear, right? They come in and they just want to look really good, and it kind of reminds you that presentation is important, and your first sight of anything, we're already judging, we're already trying to figure out what this thing is, and you guys are kind of taking that to the pie world, and when you slide that across the table, I'm sure that the breath was just taken away when it came to Beatles Day, and it looked like that. We
kind of think of it as edible art.
Yeah.
With my background in the arts and MK's really keen eye for beauty, and also, the deliciousness of food and pairing of all sorts of ingredients and so forth.
Yeah.
You can really get the both together. And what struck me funny when we first started was that everybody started taking pictures of their pies. It was like, I even had there were so many cameras out at one point in our restaurant that somebody asked me, like, what's going on? Is there is there somebody famous here or something like that? And I was like, no, people just, people just want to buy or take pictures of these pies. They're so beautiful. And they were just posting them. And at first, I'm 42 years old. I didn't know anything about half the social media stuff that was happening. So luckily I have young staff, and they were just telling me, oh, you definitely have to be on Instagram. You definitely have to, be marketing it on social media. And so instantly I started, So that was a real learning curve for me. And since we started, we now have about 11,400 or more followers on Facebook, and we have over 5,000 followers on Instagram.
That's awesome.
So it has been really a great way to market our daily menu. So knowing that people have to check in every day to find out what's on the menu, it encourages them to like our page. So I post the menu every day in the morning on our website, Facebook page, Instagram page. And so if they like our page, it can instantly come to their feed.
Right.
So that's one thing that we've learned is that you constantly need to be giving a little something.
Right. Yeah. No, I love that because do you think that it builds a little bit of, I might miss out on this?
Absolutely.
Right.
Scarcity.
Like, oh man, I better get that because it's gone after today.
Yeah.
Or it's not gone forever, but I may miss this chance.
It's gone for now. And that's why with having 50 savory and 75 sweet pies, like everybody's got their favorite. And, if you miss it, it might be a couple months before it comes back on because we like to rotate in. Rotate off. And, so the other thing that we've been able to do now that we have more room for making pies and storing pies is that we have the ability to host private parties in the evenings now. And so we do get a lot of people for that. And also we can sell our pies unbaked. So we make them fresh in the morning. And then if people want to come and have them for dinner, since we're not open for dinner, people will buy them unbaked and take them home and have them. And sometimes people do that for Thanksgiving Day dinner, things like that.
Okay. So there's like 4 different places I want to go, but I'm going to back up and ask again, just to bring some context, because I totally went left lane on that one. About how many pies would you say we're pushing out?
Okay. That's a good question. Yeah. Going back to, it kind of depends on the day and what's happening. Yeah. But I mean, probably anywhere from 100 to 200 combos per day. And that's a savory pie and a sweet pie. So, but I will say, like, for example, on March 14th, Pie Day, 3.14, we did a special an old-fashioned apple pie with a little pie symbol cut out. And people went mad over that. We sold over 850 pies that day. Whoa. I mean, it was insane. We've had similar records where we've sold over 700 pies or 600 pies or, and...
But that one takes the cake, you would say?
That one takes the pie.
Why would I say cake? I should know better. But yeah, that takes the pie. Yeah, it takes the cake, right?
So, it's really hard to, with a restaurant, gosh, you really can't count on any certain things that are going to be, people are going to just raise. But I know on the 1st and 15th, I do know on the days where we have special things, where we celebrate special events, it's going to be a lot busier. And to the point where sometimes we'll even have people pre-ordering. So they know, if they know, hey, I want, when the eclipse was happening, for instance, we had eclipse pies, an amazing, beautiful pie. And we sold 300 of those before we even opened for lunch that day because people were putting in orders all through the night. The next morning, they were just flying in. And, it was incredible to see that kind of activity, as a business owner. But, however, it could have gone the opposite way. We could have sold 10 of them. We just didn't know.
Well, I think you guys have an advantage because you have pie as the platform.
Right.
And you're playing on the now of any life, anything that's going on. And there's a lot to be said by living in the now. Right. And for the eclipse, and a lot of people, it may be their first time, to make it a little bit extra special, how cool is that to get a pie eclipse, right? If I would have known anything about that, we would have gotten
went all
one.
Out. We actually had...
I would have fought.
We had a limited number of eclipse glasses that we had managed to score, and... We even Justin and I made, what was it, like 50 or 75 of the cereal boxes that, you put the pinhole in and you can, because we had an eclipse viewing party, basically. Right. So people could see it from the restaurant, and it was kind of fun toward the end.
So who does that come down to, or is it more of a team idea building event of new things that are coming on the horizon that you guys can take advantage of and use pie as the platform?
Yeah, I'd say between MK and I, we definitely brainstorm and, kind of find out what's happening. For example, if a new movie's coming out or something like that.
Like Jurassic Park?
Possibly that's a good one. When Wonder Woman came out, we had a special Wonder Woman cake, and it was absolutely beautiful. One of MK's, creations, and we sold so many of those. It was such a hit. We had special napkins, like we tried to go all out. We wore our Wonder Woman t-shirts,
Love it.
It allowed me to create an interesting video on Magisto, which is an app that I use. I love my apps on my phone, to run my business. I'm always on, being able to create videos and post socially and so forth. So anything extra that I can do that's fun, I can promote it by creating a video, taking photos, blasting it out, changing our cover photo, putting it on Google and, everything. So,
yeah. Well, any type of leverage, right?
Right.
And it sounds like those apps are true leverage in your business.
Yeah.
Are you planning for the baseball stadium that's coming around the horizon?
I'm sure we will.
Oh,
I am sure we will.
I'm sure it's already baking in the oven. Cool. No, I love that. If you could talk about some of the apps that have helped you out, because it sounds like you're a true fan of them.
Yeah.
What other apps have that maybe some business owners who are listening to this could bring into their world?
Definitely. Let's see. Let me just open my phone real time here and just take a look.
I think it's interesting. What's on your first screen before you swipe?
Oh, let me see.
I don't know why that interests me, but
it's boring.
I don't know. I see some pretty cool stuff. I love Dropbox, Snapchat, Facebook.
Yeah, I use Dropbox a lot.
Me too.
Dashboard with Clover. So my one thing that I'm so glad that we worked out before we even opened was that we had our point of sale system as Clover, and it's been very good for me right now. It's very slick, very clean, very streamlined. We have had to, because I have so many menu options, a lot of what I do, I have to. Whereas another restaurant, like that just has one solid menu, like Pizza Place that has just solid, you can put that in and it stays the same. Whereas me, I'm constantly moving and shaking, changing things to make something work for my business style.
Right.
For example, I use, like I said, the Chow Now ordering app, which is really cool. But every day I have to go in and make those changes. Whereas another restaurant that has that, they just have a set menu.
Exactly.
They put it on for them.
Yeah.
They customized it, and then it stays still.
Yeah.
So, I highly recommend these things, but there are a few learning curves involved in that. So I have Dashboard, which accesses my Clover. I can be here right now and just hit it, and it will give me an accurate amount of sales, revenue, who's on right now. I have Fleur, which allows me to see the inside of the entire restaurant on multiple screens from our security system. Yelp Biz, obviously, so I can, check in with anybody who writes a comment or a review. I can respond to them instantly from my phone. I have ZenReach. So one of the things that I instantly wanted to do was just to find out how to better market my pies in my restaurant. I partnered with ZenReach, which allowed me to offer my customers free Wi-Fi when they enter into the restaurant.
Okay.
So to do this, the first screen will say, would you like to join our email club? And if they do, then they get a free pie on their birthday. So they get an automatic message saying you get a free sweet pie on your birthday. Come and celebrate, which is fine because I don't do any discounts on my food.
Right.
My food is high quality, locally sourced ingredients. Yeah. My staff are excellent, so I don't do any discounts. I don't do 10% off or anything like that.
And why? See, I just want to go and buy in 100 different places because what's pretty cool, again, about you changing this menu all the time is that you've built in a demand for each item, meaning, what were those things? Kids loved them? Spinners? No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
spinners?
Fidget spinners.
Widgets.
Fidget spinners.
Fidget spinners, right? There was high demand. And they were selling for $15-$20. You got a really nice one, it could go in the hundreds, but the demand supported that, right?
Right.
For you guys, when you have something new that hits the menu every single day, when does demand fall? It can't. Right. You won't allow it because it lives for that one day.
Yeah.
So why would you discount it?
Right, exactly.
So I just love that.
Yeah,
concept.
You could always people have said comments like, "Well, if you'd sell your pies for cheaper, you'd sell a lot more." And I thought, if I give them away for free, I'd probably get rid of all of them.
Right.
But what's the point of that?
Exactly.
But anyway, with ZenReach, that was kind of interesting. And so people will, go ahead and join our email club so they can get the free pie on their birthday. But meanwhile, it will track their information. And then I can access that with an app on my phone too.
Cool.
So I can see what traffic is coming in, even if they use a laptop, an iPad, or a phone. Even they just come in and it shows like how often they've been there, what they typically order, what their age range is. And then because they've given me their email, I can send an email blast out,
right,
promoting ahead of time a special event or special pie, or like, this is going to be off the menu tomorrow. You better come while you can, and most people really like that. And even requested that I start doing group texts, which I started. There's a group text that you can do. I think it is called grouptexting.com.
Right.
And so I've started doing that as well. But my other apps, obviously Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. I also do, for the business, Magisto, which I can't say enough about. I have editing software too, like Lightroom, Tumblr, Twitter. You need all of those things.
Yeah.
And then what's cool is that I do get my food from a distributor, U.S. Foods. And what's cool about being able to order from them is there's a little leaf beside all the products that are locally sourced. And so I can make choices based off that. But there's also an app for my iPhone that I can see. I can place my orders through that. I can also track the delivery time. I can, so I just like being able to be at a meeting somewhere or do something else and being able to, sort of run my business, or at least keep my eye on the business from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you say to because you said this became a learning curve for you, right? So what do you say to some of the business owners and, let's just say the business owners who go into business and they say, you know what, I'm not going to be about that social media stuff. It's just not my flavor. It's not really something I should dip my toe in. It's going to be too much of a learning curve. I don't know where to start. What do you say to business owners who say that?
I say, first of all, I was like that. But you have to. It's an absolute must.
Why?
I can't say you have to do it 100% because it's a necessity, because that people, especially young crowds, they're on social media. That's how you do the marketing.
Yep.
People don't pick up a newspaper like they used to. People don't go into a hotel sometimes and browse through things. Print articles, we do very, very rarely. The most I will do is if somebody says, oh, you were going to do this flyer or something for a school, if you'll donate something, or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
You can be
in the back of the yearbook.
Yeah, sponsorship or something like that. Occasionally I'll do some things like that.
Yeah.
But that's the way forward. And then we do email blasts, and we do the Facebook ads, so there's a lot more to learn about Facebook ads and things like that I could still learn.
Yeah.
But you can boost your business like that. And I can see on the days that I have done an ad boost.
Yeah. And
you can pick, your target audiences and so forth. And it's definitely noticeable. When I will do an ad boost, I will see it, so.
I agree.
And can I chime in for a second?
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I would say to a business owner who doesn't want to do it, and they're like, oh, well, I'll get my my kid to do it, or my tech savvy whatever. I'll just outsource that function. And there are a lot of companies that will do that for you, and I'm sure they do a great job.
They're biting at the chop to do that for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who will do that for you. One thing I will caution them on is that sometimes if you are trying to be genuine in your social media, as Leslie and her team are, it has to come from them. It has to come from the boots on the ground, because the head shop, maybe the office staff or whoever that are putting some of that stuff out, if the genuine spirit of what's happening in that space, in that business, in that restaurant, whatever, if there's a disconnect, people can sense it immediately.
Yep.
And so when a lot of the stuff happens on the fly, a lot of the interesting things, the good photos, that kind of thing, that's because everyone in Leslie's team are switched on. Someone back in the kitchen might be like, oh my gosh, that's really cool, and they'll take a picture, and Leslie will and be like, hey, we should. They look at it, they make, okay, bang, it happens. And so this is real, genuine stuff, and that's what people want to see. And I'll toot Leslie's Lily's home, and I mean, like, people come in like, oh, you're the pie lady. Like, like people recognize her. Like, we can't go in. You can't go anywhere in town, and of course, I'm just like, I'm just with her.
He's the pie lady's husband.
I'm the pie lady's husband.
Excuse me, move.
Yeah,
I'm
can you get out of the way? Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. But anyway, so what I'm saying is on that social media thing, you think you can outsource it, you think you don't need it. But I would also say to somebody who's in the business and say, listen, do you think these computer things are going to stick around? Yeah. Do you think this social media thing's actually like a real thing? And you're like, yeah, it's kind of be. Well, then let me ask you something. How long do you tend to be in business? 5, 10, 15 years? Let's just say you want to do this, whatever you want to be a plumber for the next 15 years. Let me ask you, look at the last 15 years. Look at the change. Okay. People that would refuse to even, do anything to even get a website. They're struggling. They're gone. They're whatever.
Yeah.
So think about that. You are, if you turn that off, if you give up and you're like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm going to roll with what I got. You will get removed from the gene pool of business because, business doesn't care. They don't care you're the best guy in the world, but you will get steamrolled. So there'll be someone coming from behind to absolutely just, crush you in that regard.
Yep.
So think about it.
I mean, and so just to back up a little bit, I mean, look at Blockbuster, right? They had no interest in innovating.
Yeah,
and
great.
Redbox came and was like,
for you?
oh, Redbox, Netflix, and all that. And then I saw them freak out and start Blue Box. Did you guys ever see Blue Box?
Yeah, I did.
I don't know.
Oh, we're talking about a little bit too late.
It was a little too late, and that's because they disregarded any type of innovation. And I mean, you're exactly right. And I'll talk to people too, and it's very organic. There's a connection that you can't pay for. You can't pay for that.
It's real time at the pie shop too. But I will say that I can understand a point of view from someone. Let's say if someone started a restaurant and they said, I'm starting a restaurant because cooking is my passion.
Right.
Social media marketing is not my passion.
Sure.
So I can't do both. And it's true. I spend a lot of time doing the one. I can't do the other. So, the best you could do is have one of your employees who may be with it and understands it all to sort of take ownership of that.
Right.
Like they're your marketing person.
Yeah.
In a pie shop, I have a chef. My brother cooks.
Right.
I have someone who creates the pies.
Yeah.
I have someone who cooks the pies. My sister makes the dessert pies. She
Yeah.
has a sous chef helping her with that. I have upfront staff. It frees me up to do that. But, if you're like, I want to open a furniture store, I build this furniture.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder, but
Sure.
So I can also see their perspective,
Yeah.
making pies, like being in the kitchen isn't necessarily my passion.
Yeah.
Making a cool video about people making the pies, that's more interesting to me, so.
What if, and we'll use the furniture example, what if the guy who was building furniture did do a quick post, maybe even 2 a day? Maybe that post isn't necessarily going to bring more sales. However, what if I was someone who loved woodwork, right? And I watched him and I loved the way that he did it. And I saw that he needed to grow in some level of his business. Because could it be a way that also attracts talent to your business? Not so much units sold, but if I were watching you, the person who loves to bake, and they said, and just a real quick video, I was thinking about doing it this way, but I'm going to do it this way because I think that it's going to present itself a little bit better from this angle or whatever. And if I wanted to be in your world and I love the vision that you're growing, maybe not necessarily that I'm going to buy a pie from you, but dang, do I want to work with you? Yeah. Like, I love the vision that you're doing. So it could be a way just to attract talent and not think units sold.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, any good attention, is going to do something for you. You have to be able to be seen. Even as an artist myself, I have a website. I have, my images out there on Pinterest, and I get people who, aren't in Fayetteville and they recognize my work and they reach out to me, or I might get in speaking engagement, or I might get invited to teach a class or something like that. Right. And that's because they saw my images on Pinterest just sitting there, and so the more you're out there with images of what you're doing, the better. Yeah.
Yeah, take up space.
Exactly.
Take up space. Get attention. Attention's great.
Yeah.
I was going to go somewhere with that too. Where was I going to go with that? Dang, it was really good, and it was there, and now it slipped from my palms.
Was it about social media? Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't. But I just got it. All right. So I know that you're running, or the other business is running the venue.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have the Fayetteville Pie Company.
Mm-hmm.
You guys aren't necessarily the ones running both of those?
We are.
Yeah. You are, okay.
Justin works at Vizcaya Villa.
Gotcha, okay.
And he has a staff.
Got it,
And
yes.
I work at Fayetteville Pie Company.
Gotcha.
However, we help each other when needed. So
Yes.
if I have a freezer that goes out, I can say, Just, I need you to come over here and take a look at this. This fan's going weird. And he'll come and help, maybe make a few calls, get the right people lined up. If he has a cancellation from one of his staffs during a wedding or ceremony, he can call me and he knows I'll come and serve any way I can. So
yeah. So how important is that for you guys to have, because it sounds like you run the venue and you're running the pie company. How important is it to have basically that empire builder ahead of that one leg of the business to really run it? Because could you imagine if it were just you doing?
I cannot.
You can't.
No.
So how important is that for some people who say, "Listen, I'm not going to hire. I make more money." In their mindset, they think they make more money. That they're going to do everything. They
it's
don't have
almost
to pay.
impossible.
Right.
You will fail in some ways. You need to step back. I mean, the way I think of a business owner or a leader, it's like you have to be more than a manager of people. You have to be the visionary.
Yep.
You have to step back and look at your business holistically, see all the imperfections, just even like so much as being able to, like, if I'm throwing pies together and garnishing and putting them in bags to go and we're sending them out the door, I'm so in the minutia of that I can't step back and set against the wall and go, okay, if I moved this station here or if I stack that there would be more efficiency.
Yeah.
And so by being able to look at that stuff and change it, then you have a more smoothly operating business and your staff aren't as frustrated. And so things are better. Like the whole culture of the pie shop is so wonderful. I mean, we're really close and we have communication, and that's come just by trusting each other and like trying to figure out as many problems as possible to make their job as easy as possible.
Yeah.
So I don't have to come down and say, why isn't anybody doing this, this, and this? I can look back and go, okay, let me figure out a way to make it so their job is so easy that, it's natural for them to be able to do that or to remember how to do that or something like that.
So the culture is super important.
Yes,
communication
definitely
has to be super important.
Absolutely.
Because no longer are you the micromanager. They're actually sharing some of the things that they may need some help in.
You're right. Yeah.
Awesome.
So they know they can come to me. And that has also been a really strong learning curve for me.
Okay.
I consider myself a gregarious introvert. So, it's exhausting sometimes being around people all day for me.
Right.
However, I know it's very important, especially as a restaurant owner, to be social and go out and speak with everybody. People want to come in. They
do
want
some podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. Do some podcasts and so forth. But because that's my natural tendency is just sort of be by myself.
Right.
It works great as an artist because it's a solo endeavor. But so it was hard for me at first to understand how to relate to people, especially my employees and things like that. So I've grown into it quite a bit, I think, the role of, and also listening to some of these types of books or reading some of these types of books that you have out here about being a leader, about being a visionary, about having open lines of communication, about trying to figure out things to prevent, any kind of strife or problems that your employees might have that they can't come and talk to you about, things like that. So it's something that you can grow into and become better at over the course of time. Right.
So what would you say some of the things, so someone who may be struggling with that, what are some things that they need to look into, put in place, some activities they need to do? What kind of advice would you give them? I
think that it's good to have sit down one-on-one conversations with your employees and, not like I need you in my office now, but just, we've done a lot of times where we've just gone out. I've had them over to my house for Christmas party. It's, you're never going to be buddies with your employees. You're going to be friendly with them, obviously, but you're ultimately the boss. And there's always going to be that little bit of hierarchy where, they're working for you. You have to understand that. And sometimes that can be hurtful, not to me, but I could see how that could be hurtful to some people who you hear it all the time in restaurants, especially like somebody will get moved out of the kitchen up to being a manager and suddenly like they don't get invited to go to the movies with their old pals or something like that because suddenly they're the ones who are having to tell them to mop out the kitchen at the end of the night or yes, take the trash out at the end of the night. So, you have to maintain a level of professionalism, but at the same time, you get to know the things that are happening in your employees' lives because, everybody has things going on, and you want to be able to relate to them and understand and be empathetic to their needs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, and I love that because that does build a strong culture. And for some employees like May, right? May, did I get it right? MK.
Initials, yeah.
MK. Apologize. So MK, you're allowing her to live out her passion.
True.
Right? So
because her passion is food.
Right.
Her passion is being creative. In fact, she was the creative person and the cook. Basically, she would create the pies and then she would cook. And we had a discussion where she wanted to do more creating. I obviously want her to do more creating. The more creative she is, the more people come in because it's more special.
Right.
And that's what she really enjoyed. And she explained to me, like, that's where I thrive. And I knew that already. So the point was, like, we needed to hire someone who would do the batching and actually cook the recipes that she was designing. And, it's not always as easy as that is because she does fill in and things when people can't make it in or are on vacations. But it does allow her, and the sky's the limit pretty much. The only thing that I put my foot down once is when she wanted edible flour shipped in from somewhere. But
it's like, nope.
You got to keep your eye. That's the other thing that's nice about being a business owner who's not passionate about like for me, I'm not passionate about cooking. I know what I want. I have my standards, but I can keep my eye on the numbers. So if something doesn't make sense by the numbers, it's, we just can't go down that road.
Yep.
And somebody has to be the one who's saying, to fulfill my dream, it's got to be this way. But then another person saying, maybe we can look at a different angle.
Because ultimately it's still a business.
It is. It's still a business.
That's right. And it was cool is the bigger you grow this business, the more opportunity MK has and other people has to be that visionary for new designs. And then the bigger it grows, the more people you can hire to execute what she's
exactly. Yes.
So it's just a win-win-win-win-win-win, especially
yeah.
when they have someone watching the numbers to ensure that we should be growing at the level we're growing at, right?
Exactly.
Or expending the things or spending money on the things we should be spending money on. So sounds like vision's super important to you guys. So what would you say? What's next? What's around the horizon?
Well, that's a good question.
Did you guys just talk about this?
No. The thing is, he's got his sort of vision for Vizcaya Villa, and I've got my vision for Fayetteville Pie Company. And honestly, I feel like with the pie company, we kind of take it. I feel actually very accomplished in that I feel like I had so far to go to get up the mountain of figuring out how to make everything right. And now I'm sort of standing on the mountain going, I can't believe I figured all that stuff out.
Yeah.
Got the packaging right. Got the labels down. Got the things done. Got everything organized.
Yeah.
Got the app. Got the emails. Got the website going, and to step back and say, wow, this really did work the way I thought it would. So now I'm kind of letting my mind venture off back into my art and a possibility of, dare I say this on a podcast, opening up a third business, which
cool.
would be, so that's really kind of where my mind and heart is right now as I see this functioning and working really well and moving,
Yes.
I'm not missing out on it. I mean, I'm still going in.
Sure.
And I'm still working in a pie shop, but I'm also seeing the vision for a third business, which would be more of a boutique. A lot of times, Justin and I, we did a lot of the interior of Fayetteville Pie Company, which is super cute. And a lot of times when people come in, they're just like, wow, this place is so beautiful. And when I start telling them like, oh, we did a lot of the work. We did this, we did that. I did this. They're like, do you ever think about selling some of these, or you should go into interior design or something like that? And I, say, well, I have an art background and I love to make things. So I would love to open a shop where I can sell my art and things that I make. Like I've recently taken up soap making. And I'm selling that at LeClaire's, and I'm selling it at Element Salon. I'm selling it at the pie shop. So, I'd like to be able to have my own shop where I can sell things like that.
What's the name?
Curate Essentials.
I knew there was a name. That's awesome. Okay, so here's the thing.
Opening in 2 to 3 years. As you can see, I've been literally. It's a really cool house built in 1914. So you've got to totally go in.
You already got a spot.
Yeah.
Oh. Is it, where is, well, okay, so.
I'm not saying
yeah, you got to
else.
say, Ruben, stop, right? Because I will keep.
Because it's only like way out there, but
no worries,
Justin and I are both really hard workers, and
Yeah.
we love a standard of excellence.
Perfect.
So, when we see something, we go in, full force.
Yeah.
We strive for excellence in the things that we do. We never settle for just like, that's okay. We want to see how can it be the best. And so that's what, we're all, and our mind's always going to the next sort of challenge. I think problem solving is a fun challenge for me to figure these things out.
It's the process.
It is. It's the process. And I think that, benefits me as an artist, and maybe it's helped me in my position as a business owner and manager, just, to be able to embrace challenge, look at it all different angles and figure that problem out.
Yes. So I was talking to a buddy of mine. He runs a very successful business, and he just started doing something else where he travels and he teaches and he inspires and all that, which is another passion of his. He just bought himself a plane, so he's rocking it.
Yeah.
And I asked him, because I had him come in and talk to a few people that I'm coaching, and I asked him on the ride back to the airport, pick up his plane. I was like, do you hit these levels of a year and a half goes by doing something you're doing that you loved, that you kind of poke your head up and you start asking what's next? Mm-hmm. Not necessarily that you're going to leave it behind and scratch it. He's like, yep, I'm on a cycle. 3-year cycle is my cycle. It just seems to happen. Yeah. And is that kind of
I think so. Yeah. I always thought that Justin was like that, because he's always on to the next thing. And, he's very creative. And
but only because, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're standing at the top and you're like, I did it.
Yeah.
I figured this out.
Yes. We wouldn't be on to the next thing. And there were still a lot of issues to be handled.
Almost the process is coming to an end, and you start looking for something that's going to keep you uncomfortable, something that's a little bit of challenge. And so it's not that you're abandoning it. It's you're at the top and you're like, and you roll into these cycles. Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes, over the course of, we're literally renovating this place by hand. Sure. And I have no intention of leaving Fayetteville Pie Company or anything like that. It would just be a second thing. But but it's exciting. I mean, I wake up every day with a new vision. I wake up with new ideas. I've learned so much about running a business by figuring it out with Fayetteville Pie Company. I kind of know what to do, and it's a little bit easier to kind of think, okay, let's do it a second time.
That's right.
All the same challenges and everything, but I just feel so confident because I know what to do. Sure. In the meantime, there's only so much paint scraping and paint peeling that you can do throughout the day, and then you can let your mind go and you can go to the computer and you can say, oh, I want to design a label for my honey jars, Right. Right. And you can sort of get some of that going while, you can have the vision of the layout while you're doing this menial stuff too.
Right. Yeah. One thing that when working with people, if there's a different leg of the business that they want to grow, in the beginning, we asked them to start deepening their bench, start looking for talent. Not necessarily they're going to jump in your business, but at least we've already started cultivating. And it sounds like the two businesses you guys are running, you have an empire builder. Yeah. And you have an empire builder. And you can say, nope, not going to answer that. Are you already looking? Are you already deepening the bench? Are you already looking for talent to really, I guess, keep moving the pie company? And if so, what does that process look like for you guys? Is it just looking for talent? Are you systematically
I'm always, anytime, even if I'm not hiring and somebody says, are you hiring? I always say, here's my email, send me your resume. Right. May not be hiring today, but anybody who has run a restaurant knows there's high turnover, especially in Fayetteville when people come and go. Yeah. So I look at those, I keep in, maybe sit down, have a coffee with this person, get to meet them. I'll know if they showed up for that meeting or not, whether they're going to actually work out. Or if
they're on time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, I have such an amazing crew right now. I'm so blessed. And it didn't start out like that. I had people who wouldn't come to work, would say they had the flu, but they were hungover. People who were not reliable. So many things that I quickly realized, if there are things that I'm not willing to do or don't have the time to do, then I need to simplify or figure this out a little bit better, because there's always going to be this chance where I have to step in and do that part. So you have to be familiar with all the areas of your business. That's for sure. But, I feel like I have the dream team right now. I have, like I said, I have MK creating, I have my brother cooking, I have my sister, and we grew up, in the same household, running in and out of my grandma's house. So, we'll be back there sometimes and we'll just talk about like, oh, wouldn't grandma love this place? She'd just be sitting here holding court, even if she wasn't, making pies. But that would be so fun. I think she would be really proud of it. And then the out front girls are so friendly. Like, I never get anybody complaining about how the service is. They love it. And you get to know the people when they're coming in and out. You get to know about their children. Yeah. You can connect with these people and they seem to like it.
Yeah.
I could just make a comment about that, because I'm pretty passionate about what you're talking about. So
awesome.
When I was starting my Vizcaya Villa wedding event venue, and it was very difficult, but when we didn't really have the staff was small and we didn't have a lot of jobs to give away. And, but a lot of people come to Fayetteville. Fayetteville is has a very large talent pool of people that wouldn't, normally be in Fayetteville or a town this size. But here they are, and they've got all these skills. So you got those all overqualified people that are like, wow, this is a little hard. There's not that much. But anyway, when people would email or call or whatnot, we made it a point to say, listen, it doesn't matter, I'm gonna at least meet with you and welcome you to Fayetteville. And on so many occasions, people would come and say, you know what, I sent out 50 resumes or something like that. And this is like, I'm talking to this person, they're normal, they're just like me, they're qualified, they're great. Yeah. And they're like, and no one called me back, no one emailed me, no one would even talk to me. And I'd be like, and I'd say, I was on the phone when we said, I said, listen, why don't you come in for coffee? I'll show you we'll show you the business, we'll show you around, we'll just get you acquainted with Fayetteville. And I said, if only to sit down and say, listen, it's not you. This is a very tough place. And some people would be like, I'll say break down and cry, but they were like, thank you for saying that, because I was over here wondering what is wrong with me. And I was like, no. It's very difficult here. And so, in your kind of situation and in such a small world. So I looked at it that way, like, at least I could let them know, buy them a cup of coffee in case they're thirsty, but then at least let them know that, and then also keep my eye on that person if there'd be a good, someone we could plug in down the road. And then even better is that when you find someone that's fantastic and maybe you don't have space for them, as entrepreneurs, get out there and place that person with somebody else. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. You will never forget when someone else gets you a job. You'll remember that person forever. Yeah. And what you need is your cheerleaders out there. You need people that know about you. You need to you're like, oh wow, how do I really get out there in the community? Start placing people in jobs. Other entrepreneurs. Where there's some other opportunities. You think to yourself, oh, that's the last thing I got time is to track this person down or walk this person over or make that introduction. And I think that is what will happen is over time that will yield huge dividends. So I say, talk to people, meet with them, have a cup of coffee. Sometimes it works and it works out. Sometimes you're like, wow, that was interesting, and you kind of move on with your day. But at the same time, I'd just say, like, it's all about people. Everything. That's what I've learned. You can't get away from it. I don't care if you want to make widgets. It's still people. You got to deal with it. So just embrace it and try and help people, because they'll never forget that you got them a job or help them find a job when they're down on their luck. And that's my point. Yeah. It's my rant.
Yeah.
One other thing, that was so poetic.
It was perfect.
I'm passionate about it.
We're made for relationships.
Yeah.
To
she
sum
just
that
made
up.
a heart with her fingers.
But also, on a more practical note, it's very important to cross-train. So that's one thing that I function, make happen at Pie Company. I move people around. I have them cross-training. So that way, if one person is sick, the whole place doesn't close down.
That's right.
If one person gets an opportunity to move, somebody else can fill in.
Yep.
And so I try to train them on all angles and aspects of the business.
Yep. So when I'm working with someone, we do an 80-20 rule. So 80% doing what they're supposed to be doing, and 20% of doing what someone else does. Yeah. And that's a little formula for what we'll do with cross training. And with what your point is too, because I was working with one of my clients and I found out that the sales part probably wasn't best for them. their personality. You guys ever take the DISC assessment?
No, but we've done other types of things like
yeah, okay.
Yeah, they almost locked me up.
They almost locked them up. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so no, there was we could tell it wasn't a good fit. And I guess if I were to look at my money, it wouldn't make sense for me to let her go. But it made sense to let her go. And I brought her into someone else's business, and she is crushing it in his business. She's happy. She was not happy with me because we work more on her sales side. She's more admin side that can help bring in leverage for the salesperson side, and she's loving it and she's crushing it, and the business owner is loving me because I gave him. So I agree 100%, you know, and to have that talent for sure, and then constantly networking with people and hand off that talent if it's not a good fit for you.
Yeah,
I believe it 100%. So I'm gonna run through some questions if it's okay with you. Awesome. All right. So, in your words, what do you believe separates excellent from average?
I think an excellent person always just strives for the best. You know, never settles for just mediocre. You're always on the cusp of something new. You're always, you know, out there looking for a better solution. And Justin's motto at the wedding venue, for example, is "Weddings Better," and you can talk a little bit about that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we can put on weddings and everything is great or whatever, but every single time we put on a wedding, I mean, we can learn something, and so it's not just you know, I mean, every wedding just keeps getting better and better, and so we're about weddings better. We're about weddings better for our clients, obviously, like a bride and groom, but then their parents, and we're weddings better for the other vendors, the DJ, the catering element. You know, everybody that's involved in this thing, us as our staff, our business, you know, everything, like it's got to be better for everybody. So that's how we make decisions about, oh, we're going to do this or we're going to do that. And then we're like, wait a minute, is that wedding's better for all parties concerned? And then that's how I truly think you can find an excellent answer, not just an average, like, okay, this is good. But no. We can find excellence because we all are all parties have been, you know, taken into consideration. Right. And, you know, and just when you find out, like, striving for excellence, you know, you're never there. It's always the journey.
That's right.
So I'm always looking for a better way, or I'm not trying to make work for myself or try and fix something that isn't broke. I'm keeping my eyes peeled for maybe a dangle that I hadn't seen. And by the way, everything is dynamic. Everything is always changing. If you're not reassessing how you're doing something, then you might turn around one day and go, why do we do that? And they're like, oh, because we've always done it that way. And you're like, well, guess what? Everything's changed since then. No, it's the same. Really? Because guess what? You know, and then name 17 factors that have changed. You're like, well, yeah, maybe we should consider that. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And as a business owner, that's your value add. All your staff are doing what they're supposed to do, and you have the vision to see everything and all the pieces, and you know what's going on at the bank, and you know what's going on with your suppliers. They can't see that. And then also you can look at all of that, and you can say, listen, we're going to make a change. And even though that person would be like, you know, I could have told you that, and you're like, you could have, and I'm so glad, you know, I'm so glad we're moving to that, because they don't actually have the authority to start saying, like, well, I'm doing it my way because it's better. Well, let's talk about that. If it's better, I want to know about it so that we can work on it, so it can be excellent. Yep,
and that's why culture is important. Because imagine if you had a crappy culture, they were scared to tell you anything, they were scared to come to you, or on the flip side, they just decided to do it their own darn way, and then the standards starts to fall. There's a new substandard. But that's what's so dang important about freaking culture. And that's, we push it here at a high level. But you're right. I mean, so if we miss something in the process, it's good to celebrate that something went really good.
Yes.
And then it's really cool to look at the opportunities that we can correct and constantly get better. And we use our staff, if we have great culture, we use our staff for leverage to constantly make us better because they are in it.
Right.
They've got that one specialty that they're focused on. And if they see that it takes, for example, 2 steps to the left that makes something better, we talk about it. We have a conversation about it. And if it's a little bit better, we throw it in the system.
Right.
Gives them more buy-in. They feel a little bit more comfortable with you. And that will just keep this whole thing striving for excellence.
Exactly.
I also think there's some value in oftentimes, you know, someone, we call it the good idea fairy. I think that's left over from the Army. But like, someone will have a really good idea and you're like, oh, that's terrible. And you're like, really? Well, tell me about why you think. And you kind of work through it. And they're like, yeah, it'll be great. And you're like, all right, you take point. Now, I know this is going down like a Led Zeppelin. This is not happening. But, and we go through it. And, I almost kind of play Columbo. I'm like, all right, let's try it. And then we do it. And we're like, oh, wow, this is really hard. I'm like, well, then we don't have to do it. Yeah. And then you've satisfied everybody. That person felt heard. Yeah. We tried their idea. Then we kind of check that off. But then, and this is why I try and be humble about this stuff, because sometimes I'm wrong. Learn something. I learned something. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was totally wrong. Yes. And a lot of times I enjoy telling people, I'm like, you know what? So funny, when we started doing this, I was so thinking this was not work. And then I'm like, and I tell them, I'm like, but you have totally blown me away, because this is better. Thank you so much. Let's do it this way.
Which is basically every conversation that we have.
Oh yeah, when it's Leslie and Justin, that's what happened.
And what's cool, you made their day. That staff, could you imagine when they go home and they tell their family, like, dude, I threw this idea. Honestly, I didn't know if it would work.
They said, let's do it.
Let's do it. And then now it's part of the process. Mm-hmm. Like, that means the world to them. And so on the art side of things, do you find that, so my daughter will be drawing stuff sometimes, and she'll mess up. And I'm like, just work with that mess up. Definitely. Work with that mess up. And because at the end of it, you create something that you had no idea you would have created, because you embrace the screw up in that moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you always have to just, in fact, when I was teaching, I used to just tell the kids, no erasers.
That's right.
Because you can't think of anything as the masterpiece. There's always another masterpiece. Yeah. That is a process. It's just like today isn't a masterpiece. Today is a process for tomorrow. Tomorrow isn't going to be the masterpiece. You can't reach, if you're always striving, you just have to keep thinking that today, this is process. The art piece, that is process. I'm learning something for the next piece. That's not a failure. That I didn't mess that up. I learned something.
Yeah. So you want to go deep for 1 second?
Sure.
So one thing that freaks me out a little bit is death. And the reason why is because I don't ever want the process to stop. Mm-hmm. I'm so attracted to learning more and taking a new step every single day that I don't want to die.
Yeah.
I want to live to 7,000 years old.
Yeah. We were just talking about that. Actually, we have an agreement whereby I'm going to die first. That way I don't have to live without him. Aww. But, we haven't gone as far as to talk about suicide pacts yet, but.
There'll be a pie.
I think as long as you keep thinking about, for me, it's important, like I said, to have this vision. So when things kind of got not, less than exciting or whatever,
right,
with running the pie shop, not that it's not, I don't want to come off the wrong. It was just like, I kind of have figured things out. Like,
right.
Suddenly when I had the vision of this new possibility, I can feel it in my bones. Like, I have a reason when I get up in the morning, I'm excited about doing that. I'm excited about figuring out the problems. Yeah. And so, and I feel that way about my artwork too. My mind is never shut off.
Right.
And you have to foster that within yourself as a person. I mean, people get into routines that are not productive, and you can be in charge of steering your life one way or another. And so, you have anything to say about that?
Yeah.
No.
Don't die.
No, as far as like dying, are you kind of really talking about like what's your path for succession? Is that kind of where you're heading, or not practical? Like you're just kind of talking ethereal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like in a way, like I've it's so funny. I look back at my life, and if you looked at my resume, you'd think I was a total schizophrenic.
Yeah.
I've done all these different things, and I think that. When I try and imagine, like I spent 6 years in the Army, the longest 6 years of my life.
Right, you learned so much.
Yeah, but I look back at that now, and I got out in 2008, and it feels like a whisper. It feels like
right. That's
like
right.
It's like it's almost a dream.
Yes.
It's almost a dream. Like, did that really happen? I mean, I know that happened. I got the scars to prove, so I know that happened. But it's one of those moments where you say to yourself, you begin to get some context, and it sort of makes. it gives you some perspective on what you're doing now. And I think that, again, you start to decide, like, I too am a lifelong learner. I've decided that's my jam.
Yep.
And I can look back and I can remember when, I used to look at trouble and problems as, sort of getting in my way.
Right.
And now I see it a little bit differently. I think to myself, like, whenever something goes colossally wrong, and I think to myself, like, okay, this is my opportunity. This is my story.
Mm-hmm.
I get to tell this story. It's happening. And I'm like, okay, the story I'm going to tell is, and I can kind of feel myself going through it. And my entrepreneurial story for this calamity is going to be this, and I'm gonna walk through it, and it's going to be great. And then I'm at least not never gonna have to do it again. But when I have to confront this again, I will be in such a better position.
Yep.
And the thing about entrepreneurship, I like to think to myself is like, look, I don't have to be number one. Like, I strive to give excellent customer service. I don't have to be the best, whatever. I just have to be a little bit better than everybody else.
Yep.
Like, because everyone else has got their own failures and problems and whatever. I just have to be this much better.
Yep.
And I got it.
Yep. And through those failures, I mean, you can come from contribution to other business owners and you say, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't buy that soft fork.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you why.
Well, you know what? That's the thing, though. People, I can't, like, if you say, okay, Justin, great, I want to know what forks to buy, and I can't tell you.
Right.
I'll tell you I can tell you that the process of finding your stuff is difficult. I can point you in some directions, but maybe that that less expensive fork is actually better for your product. I can't tell you.
Right.
No one,
Yogurt,
nobody,
yeah.
Nobody can really tell you, and that's one thing about, I think, entrepreneurship, because especially when you first start a business, and I'm going to tell you, people that I'm speaking to those folks that are either going to be starting a business or have just started a business, and if your experience has been anything like mine, you cannot swing a dead cat without finding somebody that's going to say, well, you know what you ought to do. Here's what you ought to do. Have you ever thought of this?
Yeah,
and they throw these things at these good ideas, and they fly in and they give you their golden good idea for your life and your business, and then they flutter away, and then they don't have to action it, they don't have to whatever. And about 6 months to a year later, they'll be like, well, I could have told you, and you're like. And so they're not walking your, they're not walking your path.
Sense.
And so, but what I will tell you is this: is as you begin to solidify what you do, because sometimes, what you do, what you're creating, what you're, people, maybe there's no precedent for it in your area. Maybe there's a lot stacked against you, and people, they just can't get behind it. They don't understand it. And so you got to be true to what your, who you are and what you are. You almost have to basically shut out a lot of advice, and sometimes advice from really loving people that love you, have your best interest at heart, smart people. And you literally have to take a chance on yourself and absolutely ignore all those people and what they're saying, and go deep and focus. And if that's you right now and you're thinking, I needed to hear this because I need to hear someone to tell me, like, no, you rock it. Now, word of caution. At a certain point, and I can't tell you what point that is, what'll happen, maybe when you get on top of the hill and you're like, I did it and whatever, but there will come a point where your ability to do that, to turn out all those things and just be laser focused and make your idea work, at a certain point, that skill set needs to be abandoned. And I'm going to tell you why, because if you at that point, once you've risen to that, and you've blocked everybody out, now it's not just about you anymore. You've got a team and all this kind of stuff. So if you take that same mentality, you will not listen to your friends or people that actually now can contribute some real input, the people that can help your business. So you almost have to, you need that early on, then you need to dump it and start listening to everybody else, and then adopting that, because now you are the subject matter expert on your business and this thing you've created. Now I'm interested in hearing about your crazy ideas, because I have there might be a nugget in there I can use, but I'm not going to go chasing every rabbit trail that someone threw out there. And I think that's that making that transition. Not everyone's good at it. Not everyone sees it. Some people, whatever. I'm terrible at everything I do. So there's that. But so like I'm terrible at this too. So I fail at this all the time. But you do have to sort of switch gears. And then when you start a new enterprise, you need to be that person again on that business, but still be the other person. So again, the schizophrenic idea has to exist for you. You have to be it.
Yeah, and maybe still, and also still hold on to yourself a little bit, because that's what may have attracted the people that work with you in the beginning, and not abandoning that as well, but still opening up your ears and building a great culture of why things can get better, and maybe accelerate the accelerate the process to the vision.
Right.
Cool. Loving this. All right. So I'm going to do another question. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite failure that you believe has set you up for success?
Wow. Well, I'll harken back to what Justin was saying about if you look at my resume, it looks like I have schizophrenia. And I think that you kind of feel like, or at least maybe your parents might feel like, that you go down a path of education, you stick with this job, you go through. But if you look at my resume, oh my gosh, I've been in the Army too. I've taught here. I've taught grade school. I've gone and I've stopped school and I've gone back to school, and I have a master's degree in this and a master's degree in that. And now I'm running a pie shop, and now I'm thinking about this other thing. And I mean, it just looks all like it's all over the shop.
Right.
So some people might say, in a way, some of those paths were failures, you know.
Right.
However, I think again, like, we're lifelong learners. You're always, if you just look to have a teachable spirit and you can learn from every little thing, it's kind of just like and we're very prayerful about everything that we do. Like, we're both Christians, and so we're constantly seeking God for his advice and leadership and, clarity and so forth. So, in amongst all that prayer and so forth, if you just can embrace the open doors that come to you, you will learn everything along the way. Your path might be windy, but will take you to your ultimate destination, which will be a success versus a failure.
Right. Yeah. So I was talking to a few people, and they're looking for that. They're looking for their purpose. And I don't know if this is the best advice to give them, but basically I tell them the next door that opens, dip your toe in it.
Yes, exactly.
Just do that.
Yeah.
Because it might not be the thing you're going to do in 5 years.
Yeah.
But what that's going to do is you're going to learn something in it, and it might open 3 other doors.
Yes.
But it's the point of just taking action. Just dip your toes in.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, good. So would you say that was good advice?
Yeah.
So you guys are agreeing. So.
I concur.
Whew. Okay, good. But I mean, just I don't know if you sit down and wait for the perfect thing to fall in your lap, if that's going to happen. You have to dip your toes in the pool.
Yeah.
And that might necessarily not, or that may not be the pool that you're going to be swimming in 5 years from now.
Exactly.
But it's going to open up the door for you to get closer to the place you want to be in.
I mean, for example, Justin and I always laugh about this because we're the 2 least likely people, at least I was, to be in the Army. And that's where we met. We met in the Army. 5 months later, we were married. Now it's 15 years later. But I always thought, why couldn't we have just ran into each other in a coffee shop or at an art gallery or something, But it was through this, what seemed to me at the time like I was just so down and out financially that my only choice, not that I'm not patriotic, but I basically had to join the Army to get my student loans and debts paid off. And I was the first person in my family to do that. And, blah, 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 blah. I hear I was 26 years old. And then I met him, so that seemed like, I had to hit rock bottom in a way. But then it led me, just going through what I felt God was leading me into, led me to meeting him, who is my partner now, my husband and best friend. And, we do all this great stuff together, and we're perfect for each other. So
I think I have a favorite failure. It's not really a failure, but it's it would be perceived as a shortcoming.
Sure.
So I after 9/11, I had prayed about it, and I felt like God was calling me to join the Army, and it was totally the wrong thing. It was like, I had a great life. I was living in Chicago, had all this good stuff happening monetarily and everything. And my dad's just like, "Are you nuts? Like, you are going to screw everything up." And I was like, "No, this is the path." And so, having gone in, I had college degree and all that kind of stuff, and I was a little bit older. And so, I went in as a specialist, E4 specialist in the Army. And for 6 years, I remained as a specialist in the Army. I never was promoted. And, I would say if somebody told me that, and anyone's been in the Army, if you're listening, like, if I told you that a guy had been in the Army for 6 years and never got promoted once, you'd have to be like, what is wrong with that guy? They throw this stuff at you. Come on. And so, that is a unique thing. In fact, I didn't know anyone. I mean, you can get promoted and demoted. That happens all the time. Yeah. But never promoted, not once in 6 years. And so, you could look at that and say, to yourself and go, I stink, this kind of thing. But I don't necessarily think that was what was going on. I think, what I learned through that, what could be considered a bit of a failure, is that I learned to lead people without the rank. I didn't have the rank to lead,
Gotcha.
but I was oftentimes the smartest guy in the room, which isn't that hard. But oftentimes I was in a position where I was with a bunch of people and I was the lowest ranking person and things needed to get done. And I had to figure out how to step forth and lead my superiors into doing the things that I felt should be done. And that wasn't always, and it happened in moments and things like that. But it was like, how do you lead when you aren't in charge? How do you how do you convince people that you know the right path, even though, and then how do you work through the egos? You know, how do you work through the egos? Like, hey, listen, you're my subordinate, and you're trying to tell me that we should be doing this, and this, and you know that. So that I think was probably an interesting way to go about it, and I got a lot of time to do I was never really a supervisor. In that role, you never become a supervisor. You're always running around doing everybody else's bidding. Yeah. And a little bit of that kind of stung because they're like, okay, you're a combat photographer, videographer. So now I'm going to need you to go and run phone lines. And you're like, I want to be out taking pictures. Okay, you're whatever. I need you to dig this ditch. Yeah. I need you to do all these different things. And at times, it'd be very difficult for me to, I'd be like, I want to be out doing my job, what I love doing, and then here I'm stuck doing this other thing. And what I didn't realize is that, is that all those things, and it's just like, I should have known, but all those things that I learned how to do, almost gritting my teeth and bearing it, I realize now that I've used almost every one of those skills in my business to save me thousands of dollars, save me from going out of business. Yeah. I mean, like, all those things were a lifeline to me to handle things. Not necessarily that I do all of them now myself, but I know how to direct people. Yeah. I know when someone's giving me the runaround. I know when someone's lying. Yeah. And what you'll find as an entrepreneur that you'll learn a little bit of something about it, and then the next time you have to engage on that, whatever it is, negotiation, talk, working with a repairman, whatever, that you come into it with the right words, the right context, and the right, you ask the right questions, and then they realize, okay, this isn't just somebody that I'm going to pull the wool over their eyes, I get it. Yep. And so you get better service from people, you know what to add, you know what buttons to push, where to leverage, things like that. And all those things, I learned in the Army.
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, for you to be in that position and to figure out what we need to do next, and then have I guess higher ranking people to buy in on what you have to do. It's a certain conversation, and you have to become a skill set of asking the right questions where they self-realize what we need to do, and not necessarily that you told them, but they're like, oh, you know what? I bet if we, so that's cool, man. That's
Justin's nickname was the Senator.
Yeah,
because I could smooth things over.
We always need someone like that in our life. What have you gotten better at saying no to?
I guess with my time, I'm very focused with what I do with my time. So I can quickly, you're expected to do a lot of social things, relationships are important, sure. But I think, if you have a vision, if you're pursuing things that are important to you and your business, you quickly realize that, especially when you first start a business, forget about it. You will not have the chance to do social. You have to say what your priorities are. So, it's kind of nice that Justin and I are both business owners, because we understand that business happens. You have to go take care of it, do it.
Right.
That comes first. And we give each other grace with that within our relationship. But I can easily look at the million things that people expect you to do or want you to do, and just say, no, I've got something else I need to be focused on and do. So, I think that I've gotten better at that. Yeah. Without feeling guilty about it.
Yep. No, I agree. And I would say that's probably the number one answer we get from business owners, is that it's your time. Yeah. And you have to really be very purposeful on we got 24 hours just like you do. We got to be the most purposeful with our time.
Yes.
So I agree 100%. Mm-hmm. All right. You have, what profession other than your own would be fun to attempt?
Forensic scientist.
Okay. All right, go.
I've always thought that I've always had an interest in osteology, bioarchaeology, things like that. So in another life, I would do some type of forensic anthropology or something like that, for sure. In fact, I got so serious about it, I took some classes at Methodist University in crime scene investigation, fingerprinting, all this, just for fun. And it was pretty interesting.
What's the driving force behind that?
I think it relates to my artwork, that I think human bones and animal bones are so interesting, and it's the inside that you don't see, and yes, it's our structure, and then just the history of things that are old, things that are worn, things like that. I find very interesting, and I do a bit of taxidermy, small animal rearticulation, and so forth.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So
I have vast interests.
No, I love it. Do you think the crime scene is a little bit of do you think that you roll right back into doing the process, figuring out the story?
Oh yeah, the problem solving.
The problem solving,
yeah,
right?
absolutely, yeah.
And there's a different
the
element.
Investigation, figuring things out. Yeah, definitely. I know how that relates. So, I don't think that dream's going to happen, but maybe this other thing will.
Yeah. Well,
it's a bigger commitment.
It could be the back door to the business, like this is what I do on the side. No, that's cool. How about you?
I've kind of gotten to the point where I truly feel like now, after I've done the wedding venue and involved in the restaurant, and other elements that I've been in, I now look at anything as an opportunity. Like I could do anything and be good, happy at doing it for the most part, because I truly, I've come to the point where I'm like, I could work in manufacturing, I could try and do something medical. I might not be good at all of it, but I could do it because I think I find joy, and I strive, and I really get juiced up. My juice is flowing when I get to take on something and learn something new. And so now that opens up my entire world when it comes to business, where I can get into, it doesn't matter what the business is. I'm interested in it because I feel like I can bring value. And I also think that there are a lot of times where you'll see huge strides or huge innovations made in a particular business when a sort of a change agent comes from somewhere else.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like, maybe like the real estate business, and like people, this is how we're doing it, and all of a sudden, some guy who's an agrarian, whatever, I don't know what, something that's completely unrelated will step into that world and be able to bring in a certain take on it that no one ever had before, and just make one little tweak and become amazingly successful. And so that's where I feel like, as I build my skill set as a business owner and as a human being, that each one of those things that I learn, I can come and bring a little bit of a different flavor, see things from a different angle, see some opportunities other people haven't. And that can be in anything, in my opinion.
Yep. So, quick test. How many real estate agents do you know?
Couple.
How about you?
Yeah, couple.
Couple?
Same ones.
Right. Oh, okay. Oh, well, there you go. What we'll find is that everyone knows about 3 to 5, right? And that just shows you that people from all types of everywhere get into real estate. And they do. They bring that different element that they have learned in their life into this thing we call real estate. And they sprinkle a little bit of flavor, and everyone's like, whoa, I would have never seen it. And I think in this industry, you see it more often than not, because it just, people come from all over, and they jump in this thing, like I said, we call real estate. But yeah, I started with a different company, and I was doing something, I guess it was frowned upon. They didn't really like it. They didn't understand it. Not there was one person. And so I said, okay. And then I came here, and I did it, and it worked.
Yeah.
Good. Well, and it's funny you mentioned about real estate. Guess who's also become real estate agents?
We have.
What? Yeah. Get out of here.
A long time ago.
I found that wasn't for me.
Yeah,
the math and figuring out how to.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Oh,
and this is
leverage.
So a long time ago, and this is back when I think we were still living in Fayetteville.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so what I said to myself is, I said, I was getting out of the Army, and I was going to do photography when I got out of the Army. And I said, well, but this real estate thing's interesting. I said, I had a buddy who was a pilot for Delta. He got laid off like years ago, and he got laid off like 3 years. And so he had to find some other work during that time. Yeah. And he went to work for like a used car lot. And I was like, oh man, how'd that go? And he's like, well, for the 9 days I was there, and bad fit, whatever. And I was like, I said, tell me about it. And he told me all this stuff. I said, dude, isn't it awesome that you got to get an education in car buying? Because now you see the other side of it. And for the rest of your life, because how many cars are you going to buy? If you do the math, you're going to probably have maybe 15, 20 more transactions, large large scale, large number of transactions. Now you see the other side. You know the angles, man. This is great. So I kind of took that same mentality on the real estate thing. I said, you know what? We're probably going to be buying and selling real estate for the rest of our lives.
Gotcha,
so why not see it from the other perspective? Why not understand all the pieces of the equation? We may never get into real estate, but at least we'll know the process. We won't be, not that I remember it all, but I remember a few things. Yeah. And so by doing that, taking those courses or whatnot, I believe that it's been hugely, we've bought and sold lots of real estate since then for many different reasons, houses, investment properties, different things. And just knowing and being in the know on that, that was worth that money.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That's awesome. Are you guys still active?
No.
Oh, okay.
We never bought we never did anything for anyone else.
We never actually. Yeah.
Yeah. We took the test and I'm a real estate agent, but
it's just like the forensic thing, it's just like something we were interested in. Let's take the class. Yeah. And so like I was like, oh, they have offer classes at Methodist. I'll take these, it's like there's a wealth of information out there if you're willing to take some time and learn
man.
it.
Yeah. No doubt. And this thing has changed. This thing changes every 6 months. So man, they've just added another page to the offer process. It's 13 pages long for the offer. So I don't know what it looked like back then. It has grown some pages. And for the measuring,
it was on papyrus. Or it was on the paper that
paper or something.
I'm just kidding. No.
And for the measuring and all that, leverage. We leverage that stuff out so quick. 80-20 rule. 20% of your activities drive 80% of your results, and we don't want to be measuring homes.
No.
So you're still accountable. They're going to hold you accountable for it, but we leverage stuff like that. No doubt. And by the way, there's someone who does it that kills it so well at what he does. They can build 3D models out of it.
Wow.
There's no way I could do that.
That's
He's way
incredible.
better.
That's awesome.
Yep. So why not leverage someone like that?
Yes,
and by the way, how much time you get back for the drive, the measuring, the drive back, and we're having him door knock.
Yeah.
While he's out there for that property to find a buyer for that listing. So anyways, let me get off that. I will stay on that one. All right. So purchases of less than $100 that have most improved your life.
Ooh. I know this one. Ooh, Audible.com.
Oh, yes.
I am in love with Audible.com. It's $14 a month or whatnot. But I just listen to so many books and just any range of books. So, I'm never without listening to that.
So what book are you on right now? And then we'll jump
I just finished The Talented Mr. Ripley series, which is by Patricia Highsmith. And so if you've watched the movie, there's 4 extra books to go along with that. So yeah.
So what's next then?
I just started David Sedaris's book Calypso, which is his new release, and he grew up in North Carolina, so I'm always interested. Cool. Yeah, and he's just funny and hilarious. So I like to listen to fun books. He listens to all these business books.
Yeah,
go ahead, Justin.
Oh, yeah, fill me in.
I like to read business books and whatnot and. That's a good question. Like I don't buy a lot of things for myself. Wait, what? Wait, she's laughing now.
So, we don't buy a lot of things for each other because we just go out and buy them ourselves.
So maybe I could ask you, what have I bought that's under $100 that has like what would you observe me? Because the thing I think I reach for every day. You're gonna laugh. It's this blade. I'm holding up a box cutter.
Yeah.
And it's good for lots of stuff. And I use it every moment of my life. And so I use a box cutter. I think that's probably my best.
It's actually how you picked the lock to get in this building.
Exactly. That's how I got in here or whatever. So maybe that's my box cutter.
What would you say that besides that?
Besides Audible?
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah,
for
seen,
him.
Yeah.
What am I not seeing?
He threw it out there. Now I need to know the answer.
Yeah. I think it's food. We buy, it's just the two of us. We don't have any kids. And so he'll come home with a steak or a couple steaks or whatever. And we indulge on something like that. It's not expensive. It's under $100. It's not permanent. It's not like a one-time thing. But we've decided that we can afford to have a couple steaks when we want to without feeling too bad about it. We don't have to have, any issues with feeding kids vegetables and stuff. So, and you can't live off pie 24/7. Let's face it.
Oh yeah. It's an interesting side of that.
Yeah.
Do tired of the pie? Because, like, remember one of my first questions was, like, how are you guys on 6,000 pounds? Because I would think
Well, I
all
just
the time.
I limit myself on pie intake.
Yeah.
Over the course of time, you realize you
I
have
didn't
to.
even think about that.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Cool. I love it.
I'm not saying that to my customers, though. I think
No,
you should eat there.
You need to be 6,000
Definitely
pounds.
be eating. Definitely. Diabetes, everything. Just come as you are.
Is there a steak pie?
There's a beef and stout. Yeah.
Is there?
Beef and stout, yeah.
Ah, cool. Man, I just need to attack. Well, I can't even say I need to attack your menu because it changes tomorrow.
Yeah, but it's posted online, Facebook,
Yeah.
Instagram.
Just come
It's
back.
uploaded
Yeah,
already.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so since I've kind of peppered you guys with questions, what question do you have for me?
Oh, yeah.
The history of the beard you're wearing.
So, No Shave November.
Okay.
That started it. And then I had a friend come in, he's SF, and he was beard heavy. And I was like, dude, talk to me. How did that go? He's like, grew it for 1 year, dedicated basically 1 year. And I was like, I think I'm going to do that. That's all.
And
That's
do you
what
use
happened.
a beard oil?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And I am
It's
not.
stately.
Huh?
It's stately.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm not used to taking care of anything like this, putting oil. I cut my own hair with a guard. I'm not used to this, but I've dedicated 1 year, and I'm starting to like it.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if I'll live with it for after the 1 year's up, which I will say it will be November this year, but I've decided I'm not going to let Santa show me up either.
Yeah.
So December, I'm going to rock it. January, I'm going to let it go.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
You think?
Yeah.
You think it's gonna be? But
What about you, Jess? You got a
Okay, what question would I have you? One of my jobs, I used to be an interviewer for UPS, so I talked to people all day long.
UPS.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
okay, all right,
12
then
years.
12 years. What did you do for? That's your question.
Oh no, because I don't want to. I feel like I've diluted the question. No,
No. But one of the things, like I always ask people to kind of, if you talk to somebody like over all day long, you're like, you got to have some fun with it, right?
Sure.
So, and I'm asking them like standard things like employment history and and all stuff that's going on. So I always throw in there something. I'd say something. I'd look at their employment history. I'd look at their different jobs, and I'd be like, okay. And I'd see something that might be a little bit interesting. I'm like, what's the funniest story that you have from back when you were a horse-mounted police, Mountie or whatever. I'm like, what's your funniest story?
Yeah.
Or like when you were that plumber or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'd say like, can you think of a job that was kind of interesting that you've had in past? And then like, what's kind of a funny story that you like to tell from that job, like about that job? Like, oh, there was this one client or this one thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And usually you can go back far. And so, or you can make it up. That would be even funnier.
Or if you can't think of anything, you can always just tell us if you were a superhero or if you had a superpower, what would it be?
Okay, you get your choice.
No, I'm doing both.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, I'm not screwing that up. Okay, so funniest story, man. So now I want to go to a UPS story. I don't know if this might not be funny as much as terrifying.
That's good. Terrifying
for me.
Noteworthy.
Yeah. No, I will say my first time jumping on a truck and a UPS truck, and it was Christmas season, and there was a fence, and I've always been told to just be fearful of fences because you don't know what lives inside that yard, meaning big dog. But I was like, screw it. I got to do the best I possibly can at this because I want to excel at UPS. So I opened the gate very quietly, and I was walking with the package, and my eyes are kind of darting back and forth. I'm a little scared. And the way the house was set up was the door is on this side, so there's an opening, basically, an opening right here, and you can basically walk right through. Here's the garage, here's the actual house, but the way to get to the front door is right here. So I started walking towards it, and I was like, crap, I can't see anything, right? And as I get closer, I hear, I was like, I start to freak out slightly. 2 Rottweilers. One came from the front door, and one came from the garage. So I threw the packages. I freaked the heck out, and I turned around and ran and closed the gate just in time before I got mauled by 2 Rottweilers on my first day of delivering a package. So.
Oh, my God. That is an intense story.
Yeah.
A good one.
Yeah. So may not funny, terrifying, and
okay. So I have a terrifying Rottweiler story as
yes.
well. Nothing against Rottweilers. I was walking home from my buddy's house. I must have been, I don't know, 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And and the one neighbor, you know, who had like 3 Rottweilers, they had gotten out. So I'm like in the dark, I'm walking back to my friend's house, back to my house, and these things come out of nowhere, and I run like back to my buddy's house, and then I realize that these things are on my tail. I'm like, oh, that's right, you're not supposed to run, you're supposed to stop. So I stop,
run.
and they come up behind me, and I'm frozen, and I can hear them sniffing all behind me, and all of a sudden one bites me right in the butt.
Of course.
And I break, and I run to the door, and I'm pounding on the door, ringing the doorbell. These things are like right behind me, and they're not attacking me, but they're barking. And I think like my buddy's mom like saunters to the door. I'm like, and then she finally comes in or whatever. And anyway, long story short, so I too have my Rottweilers.
Yeah.
Now that's why we stick to Chihuahuas.
Yeah.
You can really only have to guard your ankles. So.
Yeah.
Well, to be completely honest, those are the ones you have to worry about. Yes, drivers.
Truly.
The very small is the small ones.
And you have to be worried about their owners because they're a little off too.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Parents, not owners.
Yeah. Oh, parents too. Oh, true. Yeah.
Parents. Yeah. Okay.
Superhero.
Superpower.
Superpower. Not dying.
Not
There
dying.
you go.
Dude,
There you go.
Immortality.
Dude, immortality.
Yeah.
I want to see where this thing goes. And when
Yeah.
I say this thing, I mean life, innovation, people. I just want to see where this thing goes, and I hate that I'm going to miss out.
You better start taking some energy pills, some vitamins, get your yoga going.
Yeah. And I intend to live a healthy life.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see, I just want to see where this whole thing goes.
That's awesome.
Well, good for you.
I'm like stoked to see where it goes. So that's what I would say. So last question. What question do you have for everyone listening?
Have you tried Fayetteville Pie Company? If you haven't, you should check us out. We're at 253 Westwood Shopping Center. We're open Monday through Saturday, 11 to 3 for lunch. If you haven't tried our app, you can download that by texting Fayetteville, all in capital letters, to the number 33733.
Awesome.
Okay, I guess what I would ask, you know, everybody that's, you know, interested in business or whatnot, or even let's say you have a business and you're, you know, rolling along doing your thing, and when you think of something and you want to do it and whatnot, I guess what I would say is why haven't, in other words, like you have to become a person who is not afraid to fail. And because why? I guess my question is, why are you hanging on to that? And it's tough talk, but especially for you know, people that are getting getting into the business or whatever, you just have to be so ready to be the laughing stock to try what you want, because if you don't do it now, it doesn't get any easier the older you get. You get smarter maybe, but because you always have to be ready to literally take it to the end and find out that you worked your tail off and you gave everything and it just wasn't good enough. You failed. And then you're like, okay, now I got to start over. But you have to be okay with that. But so like, if you're going to do that, you don't want to start over when you're 50 or 60 or whatever. You want to start over when you're 30 or 40. So if that's a possibility, like, so why are you holding on to it? Just go for it. Whatever it is, just give it your absolute best. So in the end, when someone says like, well, you failed and yeah, but I tell you what I did do is I know that I couldn't have worked any humanly harder. Mm-hmm. I couldn't have sweat anymore, cried anymore, given it my everything. I gave everything to this. And so I know I did my best and it just wasn't in the cards, but now I'm ready to dust myself off and try it again or try something again or do whatever. But there's no harm in trying and failing, I suppose.
Yeah. So why are you hanging on to failure as an excuse?
Yeah, exactly. Like don't do it. Yeah. Why would you hang on to that? Because you might as well get on with it. There's a
lot of books, that will list historical, things about people who have tried so many different things. There's a huge success now, ultimately, but like they tried so many things and failed along the way, but they just kept plugging on and kept believing in themselves and kept sticking to what their internal self was, driving them to do. And then eventually they, become successful.
Yeah.
So
do you think everyone has something to give to the world?
I do, because I believe everyone is born into this world with a divine destiny, for starters. But
Yeah.
that's, from my spiritual perspective.
Sure.
I think that every single person is born with a purpose, and, it's just a matter of finding it. And it may not be about you, but it may be something else that a way that you can impact somebody else's life.
Yeah.
There's been people, for example, my grandma, I've talked about her in this podcast, and, if you look at her life, it seems very simple, and yet she affected so many of us in such an intense and powerful way that sculpted us and our lives and everything that we did from there. But she was just, a country girl, raised in her family, no education, anything like that. She never traveled, never seen the world, never did anything like that. But yet she had such an impact on me and who I am today. And so, even if you can just be that for somebody else, that in itself is such a purpose. Speaking to a mom who has kids and they're only focused on them right now, well, you're impacting them so much that could be your very purpose in life. And, so yeah.
Could you imagine? I mean, we're kind of seeing it today is just how much it's compounded from her influence on you.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys coming in, taking the time to do this. I thought it was amazing. For anyone listening, please subscribe so you guys can be up to date on the next podcast. And again, thanks so much for everything that you guys have said today and the value that you've given.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure
Honor
to be here.
be here.
You guys rock.
Thank you.